Hi YouTube, how are you doing today? I am back from my travels to the Philippines and here we are with a new video. Today I'm going to talk you through the best 5 decks to hit legend with, like quickly, quick games, good win rates. Most of the decks aren't particularly new in standard, so I'm not going to take like a lot of time explaining them because I think by now you probably already know how they work. I just want to get you the information, like these decks perform the best at the moment based on stats in Hearthstone Replay. So I have a premium account. I looked at the data from Diamond 5 to Legend, picked the ones with the best win rate. So you can just copy paste the codes, have a look at what I have here for you. So the first deck I want to show you is the Easy Bake Easy Shaman. This deck was around a few months ago already, but in the current meta just became really strong again. I made a video just showcasing this deck. That was my previous video from a few days ago. So if you want to know how it works, I explain to you what I do on ladder while I take this deck to top 100. So I would say have a look at that video if you really want to know like the ins and outs. For now, I will just quickly tell you, in the mulligan, you want to look for the mug pools. Look for your sigil of skydiving. If you have that, also keep the cookie with it. And of course, very important, the Fairy Tale Forest, because it allows you to draw your battle cry minions, and that is only Hagatha, and in this list, Instrument Tech. That's just a card I used in the meta I was facing because there was a lot of cycle rogues, and you needed to like kind of smork them down with the weapon. If you don't face many rogues, I would suggest maybe you can just put in Incendius again, because that was the card that I replaced. Never keep your big spells in your mulligan. You want to draw them off the Hagatha. If you have a good opening already, you could sometimes consider keeping the Golganath, but other than that, don't keep your big minions either. Okay, so that was it for the big Shaman. If you want to know more about it, look at my previous video. There is a lot of gameplay in there. Then, next we have Dungar Druid. This is the one for all you people who love high rolling. What you want to do early on is ramp into your big stuff. So in your mulligan, look for the ramp cards. New Heights is important. Crystal Cluster. If you have some ramp or trail mix already, you could keep that as well. And then, of course, very important, the thing that this whole deck revolves around, the Travel Master Dungar. So whenever you play this, you summon 3 minions from your deck that are from different expansions. And as you can see, we only have really big minions here. So if you can get that out, cheat it out early on, it's very difficult for opponents to deal with it. But if they somehow manage to deal with it anyway, you have 2 hydration stations in the deck as well, so you can summon the minions again and again. So this deck is actually is pretty good. You just need to make sure you can survive the early game a little bit by ramping, maybe also with your starship pieces, because they give you 6 armor when they die. Alright, moving on to the next one. We're going pretty quickly. Here is Pirate Shaman. This one is actually the only tier 1, like the best tier 1 deck right now, on the way from Diamond 5 to Legend. It has like an almost 60% win rate, which is kind of insane. So what you want to do with this deck is kind of just like swarm the board a little bit. Your opponent is going to struggle to deal with it most of the times. And then you can, once you have that white board, you go for your Thrall's Gift and Bloodlust and just like finish the job basically. So this deck is not too hard to play. Just make sure you keep some good 1-drops. The Growfin, for example, Cactus Cutter maybe, or especially the Greedy Partner is very good because it does give you a coin. You know, you can speed things up a little bit. So yeah, this deck, if you really want to have a quick legend grind, I'd suggest this one is probably your best bet. Okay, moving on, we have Zarimi Priest. So this one actually made a bit of a comeback as well the past few days on ladder. I've been facing it quite a bit, but I've been playing Big Shaman, and Big Shaman, I feel like kind of destroys this deck a little bit because they cannot really deal with the cliff dive and the bigger minions that you cheat out early. But anyway, so what you want to do with the Zarimi Priest is you want to play as many early game small dragons into your Zarimi. So once you complete Zarimi, here it is. you take an extra turn. So after you've summoned 8 other dragons this game, this will be active. So once you have that big white board, and you play the Zarimi, you get an extra turn, so you can hit with all your minions, then start your extra turn, and push even more damage for an OTK. But in a lot of matchups, you might not even need the full OTK, because the deck is quite swarmy, and not every deck in the meta is equipped to deal with that, especially like the Druid, that's quite popular, the Dungar Druid, and also Cycle Rogue cannot always deal with what you're doing here, and you might go a little bit quicker than them. So if you face a lot of those decks that don't really run a lot of removal spells or minions, then Zarimi Priest, Pirate, Shaman, all these ones are the decks you want to be playing. And then last off, another old deck that's been resurfacing a little bit the past few weeks is Handbuff Paladin. So this deck has been pretty good for a long time now. So I think you guys know how it works, but just as a reminder, try and look for your weapon always. So the Painter's Virtue, it will every time you hit with it, give the minions in your hand +1/+1. Also with the Outfitter and with the Muscleotron, you will buff your hands even more. And that's kind of like the whole goal of this deck, right? So you kind of want to hold on to the minions in your hand a little bit and just keep buffing them up every turn until they get so big your opponent cannot really deal with them anymore. There is obviously some OTK in it. You can buff up your Leroy really big. You can buff up your Southsea Deckhand really big as well, and then just try and hit the face and get the game. But if the game does go a bit longer, you have the plushie that can heal you back, because obviously this is not going to be a 3-2. It's going to get more attack, more health, and you'll be able to take nice trades on bigger minions and heal back up. Okay, so I think these are the decks to go for if you want to have a quick, smooth grind to Legend. And then once you hit Legend, you can obviously also try other decks if you want. But for the climb to Legend, I would suggest picking one of these and sticking to it, because all of these have an above 54% win rate on Hearthstone Replay. So you should be able to quite smoothly get there. Okay guys, hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you again later. Bye!